And last time, the key sutra that we tapped in on is Sutra 23, which is samadhi is quickly realized by devotional surrender to God. Now, in Sanskrit, the word God is Ishvara, and that means the Lord of the universe, the Lord of everything, where everything comes from. So, samadhi is quickly realized by devotional surrender to God. What that means is everything you do, if you allow that to come through you as though that is God, or if what you are doing is God working through you, you are just the vehicle of the vessel, then you are no longer the doer. And in the Bhagavad Gita, that is the key to yoga, realizing that you are not the doer of the things you're experiencing. God is the doer. Okay? And that's how you devotionally surrender to God, by giving up all of your actions, everything you do, as though it's simply happening as God moving through you. All right. Now, Sutra 30. This is where we'll start. It talks about obstacles to experiencing samadhi. And these are good to know, because once you know what they are, you can navigate them, you can avoid them, and you can experience that one state, if you're not already. 30. Some obstacles to experiencing samadhi are doubt, negligence, confusion, failure to make progress, instability, addictions and attachments, misperceptions, and distractions of attention. So essentially what most of the human experience is the obstacle to samadhi. So let's go over these, because it's important to know what they mean. Alright, so the first obstacle, doubt. We've gone over this many times. If you don't think you can experience samadhi, that's all you're doing, is not thinking you can experience samadhi. And that thought is becoming your reality. So it's a what do they call that? The prophecy thing? Self-fulfilling prophecy. Alright. So the first thing you get out of your head is the fact that you don't think you can experience samadhi. It's your natural state. So where you've come from, when you go to sleep, or when you die, or when you meditate well, that's where you go. And it's what you are. Okay? Everything else you think you are, that's not it. If you can think you're something, that's not it. Okay? So remember that. If you think you're emotions, if you think you are your thoughts, if you think you are your relationships, your circumstances, you're giving away your power to something which has no power, which is changeless, which will die. And so then you suffer. Now, turning in, experiencing that samadhi state, once you get a first glimpse of it, this doubt will go away. All right? So the more you make practice, the more you meditate, the more you have experiential results, it gets easier. That's why I recommend practicing. Okay? The next one, negligence. Now let's see. So Roy here says, the habit of negligence can be corrected by adopting constructive mental attitudes and personal behaviors. Many of you know or know people who are always hurting themselves, always getting into accidents, or always getting sick. Do any of you know anyone like that? Or have you known anyone like that, I suppose? Okay. In my experience, both teaching this kind of material and working in the natural health field, most people who don't have a higher purpose in life, who don't have a higher calling, or who don't have a strong connection to the divine, will have more accidents, will have more problems in their life. Because when they can know what they're here for, what they're working towards, what they're waking up to, then they avoid the problems that get in the way, like sickness. Now you can be sick and still be enlightened, still experience samadhi. All right? But if you are still working on experiencing it yourself, sickness gets in the way, because you'll have aches, you'll have pains, you won't be able to sleep, or you'll be sleeping all the time, or it's hard to do pranayama when your nose is clogged up. So avoiding those things which you know cause you problems, that's how you get over negligence. Okay. Now, the next one. Failure to make progress. This one has always stumped me. Every time I've read these Yoga Sutras, and I've looked it up in the Sanskrit, and I've read this over and over, and I wonder, how can failure to make progress be an obstacle to experiencing samadhi? All right. Now, what that means is, it's not like you're meditating all the time and nothing's happening, because that would be failure to make progress, obviously. All right. But for you to make progress, what that means is you adopt a lifestyle, just like the previous one with negligence. You adopt a lifestyle which allows you to make progress. Okay. Meditation allows you to make progress. It allows you to calm your mind, or at least detach from your mind, so you know you're not it. Okay. Hatha yoga allows you to make progress. because it strengthens your body on a physical level, strengthens your endocrine system, and it balances the pranic flows within your body. Eating right. All of these things allow you to make progress. Was it Sri Kishore who said this? Well, I forget where I read it, but one of the Kriya gurus in the lineage of Paramahansa Yogananda said that if a person, hopefully I'll get the numbers right, but you'll get the idea. If a person could live a natural and pure life for 1,000,000 years, okay, I think it's 1,000,000 years, that sounds about right, 1,000,000 years, then they would naturally wake up. So if you just lived a natural, wholesome life in and of itself, you would wake up in 1,000,000 years. That could be 1,000,000 lifetimes, or if you master the ability to stay alive for that long, it could be that. However, using these techniques in the Yoga Sutras here, meditation, and having the benefit of a teacher, if you know a teacher, an enlightened teacher that you can be around, they will also help stimulate your vital forces, okay, stimulate your ability to wake up. But by practicing meditation, you can speed up that process. Kriya pranayama, it's a technique where you pull the current up the spine, and you let it flow back down. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. It's part of the Kriya techniques. By doing one of those repetitions up and down the spine with intention, that essentially works out 1 year of karma, if you do it right. Okay? So, in the Kriya tradition, they recommend starting with 12, and eventually you get up to 108, and so on. So if you do 108 of these Kriyas a day, you've just worked through 108 years of your junk. If you practice it correctly, within 7 years a person can wake up. Within 7 years. Okay? If a person would commit to the path of meditating, of practicing certain techniques, they can actually wake up to enlightenment. And that takes into consideration that you're practicing the techniques, that you're surrendering in God, you're allowing everything that you do be that action of grace through you, that you're not being negligent, that you're not doing things that will sabotage your ability to wake up. So in 7 years, can you imagine? I mean, lifetimes of going over and over again, suffering and pain and death and all those terrible things. But in 7 years you can wake up. And if that doesn't work, they say then it's 12 and then like 48 and so on. But still, you can wake up in this lifetime. That's the point of this. Okay. Now, the next block is instability. And instability, that's where a lot of the Hatha Yoga practice comes in. Because a lot of you are sitting very well. You sit upright, you sit straight, and when you can hold that posture for long periods of time, your body does not get in the way of your ability to turn inward. When we get further into Chapter 2, which is called Kriya Yoga practice, we learn that there are internal and external practices. And the external practices, I'll just go over them, like the yamas and the niyamas, which are things you do and you don't do. Okay, basically you be a good person, and then secondarily you don't be a bad person. Okay, those are the yamas and niyamas in a nutshell. And then you get into the Hatha Yoga, the asana practice, and then the pranayama. And then it starts moving into the internal practices, such as pratyahara, where you turn your attention within and cut yourself off from external influences. All right, and then meditation, and then concentration, sustaining your attention on a point, and then finally samadhi. So those are the internal practices. When you can be stable in your life, having structure, most yogis I know that have got it, they have a very structured life. There's no real goofing around. They go to bed at the same time, they get up at the same time, they have a schedule. So having structure, that builds stability, and also being able to sit still builds stability. Because once you can sit still and you can get your mind still, then you can direct your attention within. And when you direct your attention within, you let go of all these external inputs, and then you experience yourself free in space, your soul or your real nature. And when you can hang out there and be there all the time, in meditation, you're experiencing samadhi, you're experiencing your pure, conscious, eternal nature. And once you've experienced that eternity, you know why the masters say, this is just a game. Life is just a game. Because once you experience that inner stillness, that eternity, and really that's the key, it's the fact that it's eternal. When you realize how eternal you are inside, you can handle life so much better. Okay? Because you're not taking it so seriously, and that's what gets in your way, is taking it so seriously.